Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Below the Line podcast presented by Wicked Mix Holiday and Winter Editions. If you're stuck on a Christmas present or just looking for a great stocking stuffer, head on over to moonlightmixes.com. Get your holiday and winter editions of Wicked Mix. Today, we have a driver with us who has a new home for 2024, and his team is also brand new. Thad Moffitt, driver of the number 46 Silverado for Faction 46. Thad, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Samuel. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Absolutely. It's great to get inside your mind and also get the feeling of a guy who was just signed to a brand new team, because just brand new teams don't sprout up a ton in today's sport. So my first question for you is, when did this deal come together? How did this deal come together, and how far out in advance was this planned, or was it just kind of a big rush, a big scurry?
So Lane Moore, my new boss, is awesome dude, and he's been working on this for about a year now. So about a year ago, he went to Cody Efall over at Nice, and he said, "Hey, I want to start." Originally, he said, "Hey, I want to start an Xfinity team," and it turned out to be more realistic for him to start a truck team with the Nice Alliance. So he's been working on it for about a year, but I didn't come into the picture until like 3 months ago, whenever it became more real. And he reached out through a company called AE Engine. He reached out to me and my father, and he said, "Hey, I think I want Thad to drive. What do you guys think about this?" And as soon as I met him at Bristol, it was just that was it. I was like, "Man, this has got to happen. This is really cool." All the energy around Nice Motorsports, all the energy around Team Chevy at the time, and with me getting to meet Lane. He's a fourth generation grocer, and I'm a fourth generation race car driver. So we're kind of cut from the same cloth, and it just had to happen. And so we went back and we went to work, and here a couple months later, now it's out and it's public and it's announced, and don't have to walk around on eggshells anymore and not tell people what my 2024 plans are.
Well, it must be nice, when people ask you, say, hey, what are you doing? It's nice to, maybe at the Thanksgiving table when all those random relatives you haven't seen say, hey, what are you doing now? You probably couldn't tell them. And I'm sure it's nice for you now to be able to let it out and say, okay, I got this job. It's public information. It's out there. And I'm happy for you to have that good stability in a good ride. What are your expectations for next year? Because, like you said, you're not just totally on an island here. You do have an alliance with Nice Motorsports, who has been one of the best teams in the Truck Series with Chevy, with Carson Hocevar. What are your expectations for yourself and the team here in 2024 and beyond?
I think that having realistic expectations is a big thing of mine. So, I mean, I want to go out and compete for a championship, but we're a brand new team, and brand new teams have hiccups. They have bad days. I mean, at this point, I have a crew chief, a car chief, a mechanic, and an interior guy. We're still looking for a tire guy. We're still looking for an engineer. So, every role has not definitely been filled. So for us to all kind of form a team bond, and we're going to have bad days, but I don't see any reason why we can't be a competitive top 15, top 10 team for majority of the year for sure. A major goal of mine would just be to be in the playoff conversation when that time rolls around next year. For sure, and then just continue to build on that in the future. I mean, right now this is just a 1 year deal with Faction, but the ultimate goal is for me to kind of be part of this team for years to come. Kind of like what Ross Chastain's done with Nice. I mean, he still goes back and he runs races, and he still has a good relationship with Al Nice and Cody Efall. And I kind of want to do a similar thing with Faction. As I continue to grow as a driver, as I continue to grow in the sport, to just have the opportunity to go back to my roots, which will be Faction 46.
Well, it sounds like you and Lane Moore, the owner of the team, have a very amicable relationship, and hopefully that can blossom into a longer partnership. My next question for you is one that I'm sure you hear all the time, and you talk about being a fourth generation race car driver. For anybody that doesn't know, your grandfather was some guy named Richard Petty. I hear he's in the Hall of Fame for doing something 200 times. Your great grandfather was Lee Petty, the a first Daytona 500 winner, a three-time Cup Series champion. Are there times when it's harder for you, whether on the racetrack or just out in public, to be Thad Moffitt rather than be the grandson of Richard Petty, the great grandson of Lee Petty? Is it hard to separate yourself from your family sometimes and say, hey, I'm just not famous because of my last name or who my relatives are? I want to make a name for myself. Is it hard to kind of bridge that gap sometimes?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard to bridge that gap, but there's a lot of opportunity that comes with that too. I mean, being the grandson of Richard Petty, a lot of times helps me with all kinds of things. It opens doors in a lot of ways for me, but then it's a double-edged sword because then I'm compared to him for everything I do. Whether it's and the way I interact with the fan, what I post on social media, or how I perform in the car. Everything I do is compared to the way he lives his life. And at the end of the day, I'm my own person, and that's kind of this whole new Faction 46 is kind of molded after what like Trackhouse is doing, just doing things totally different. And so it's a really neat opportunity for me to get to brand myself with the team and get to kind of brand myself in my own light, even though that I am still very much so Richard Petty's grandson, and that's something I'm not ashamed of. I'm proud to definitely be part of the family and a small part of everything he's accomplished. So next year is the Petty's 75 years in racing. Started in '49 with my great grandfather Lee, and to be 75 years in a sport that's only 76 years old is pretty incredible. So for me to just be a small part of that is a huge honor for me. But hopefully we can continue this, like Grandpa said, on for another 75 years.
Absolutely. Hey, if not for, you've already done it for 75, and hopefully down the road we'll see many more generations of your family out there on the track. And I noticed Faction 46's colors, that petty blue, that orange, and then I noticed on your social medias in the days leading up to the announcement, it'd be 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, just numbers that are so tied to Lee Petty, Richard Petty, Kyle Petty, Adam Petty, those famous numbers, and you're continuing this on with 46. And also, it's cool to Lane Moore. The team isn't in the Charlotte area, and that's kind of like what Furniture Row Racing did. And just like you said, the team wanting to be different. Oklahoma, the 46th state, admitted to the union, so there's significance there. And you talked about wanting to be different. What do you think that means for the team, not just on the racetrack, but maybe as a business model? How does Faction 46 want to establish itself as not just another copy and paste Truck Series team, but as the team that can set the standard for the series going forward?
Yeah, so Faction's doing a lot of things different with its partners. Lane is kind of integrating all of his assets. So he's a grocery store owner. So we've done a lot of stuff tying his grocery store into the sponsorship model, which has been a huge success for us trying to move the needle with some of these partners. Because as you know, it's very difficult to get sponsors in this sport, and it's very difficult to maintain them. And with him and owning the grocery stores, we're able to show some ROI, if you will, to the partners directly. And then everything that the Petty's Garage brings to the table is another aspect of things we've tied in with partners. Is it's not just a relationship with Thad Moffitt, and it's not just a sticker on the truck. When you buy into Faction 46, you get Lane Moore, you get Thad Moffitt, you get Petty's Garage, you get it's kind of all in one inclusive package, if you will. So it's like we're trying to offer more than just your traditional sticker on the truck and a couple posts on social media a year. And we want our partners to benefit, of course. I mean, like if it's a two-way street. If it doesn't work for them, then they're not going to continue to support. So I don't get to continue to do my job. And so we're trying to do things different in that aspect for sure. As far as the performance stuff, is pretty cut and dry when it comes to the truck racing. I've got Doug George, crew chief in me. He has a notebook full of knowledge. He was actually a driver himself for a while, and he's worked with some of the greats, and he definitely has all the knowledge that we need to be competitive for sure. And then through our Nice Alliance, I think that we have all the equipment that we need to be competitive, and just continue to roll on that aspect as far as performance comes and see where we land. Only unfortunate thing is being a new team. Like I said, we don't have points to lean on. So we go down to Daytona and it rains out qualifying, and unfortunately, being the new kids on the block, we get sent home because we didn't get to make a lap in qualifying. So it's something we've been trying to work on internally, maybe to obtain some points. But I mean, when you start a new deal, that's part of it, and unfortunately, that could be the case. We're praying that the weather holds off and that we can go show what speed we have in Daytona, and then continue that on to Atlanta and Vegas. We're pretty ahead of schedule on as far as our trucks go, equipment wise. We're um, already getting seats mounted in the Vegas truck, which isn't until March of next year. So we're pretty ahead of schedule, and hopefully we can continue to grow and fine tune the details on the trucks.
Well, it sounds like you guys have a lot of stuff together, especially more than a few teams that have started up recently. I remember talking to 2311 President Steve Lalletta, and he said in January and even February, just a couple weeks before Daytona, they were trying to get seats mounted and trying to figure out all these logistical details and team members. So it sounds like you guys have a lot of things set in stone better than a lot of newer teams would. My last question for you, Thad, is there a favorite track now that you have? And also, what would be your dream, your fantasy first win? What track and in what manner really would you get that first checkered flag in?
Um, my favorite track right now, I would have to say, is Bristol. Like, that's just a place that I could make laps all day long and never get tired of it. Even whether it was single car runs or whether I'm racing, I think that Bristol and everything that it brings in the last great Coliseum is just awesome. Hearing the noise of the cars, running laps around there, the banking. I mean, it's like one of those things where your mind doesn't work quick enough until your body adjusts. So Bristol is definitely up there for me. And then Phoenix, I really enjoy the restarts at Phoenix. The long green flag runs at Phoenix, I could take or leave, depending on how my car's driving that day. But the restarts at Phoenix are always exciting since they changed the track around and made 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So I think that the restarts there are pretty incredible. And then from my first checkered flag, man, what it would mean to me to win at Daytona, the place that's so historic to my family. I know that those races kind of just, I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of execution. It takes a fast truck. It takes um, a little bit of luck, a lot of luck, actually, at a lot of those places. So, but for me to add onto the Petty legacy at Daytona would be incredible. Grandpa won there several times, and great grandpa won the first 500 at the big track. So to be able to be a small part of what the Petties have done at Daytona would definitely be atop my bucket list.
Absolutely. And what a historic win that will be. You'll get a chance to do that, and we'll get a chance to see that. I believe February 16th is the date on that on FS1 and MRN. Dad, thank you so much for joining the show today. Are there any partners, sponsors that you want to shout out before I let you go here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we couldn't do this without all of our partners, as you know. So Safety Clean has been a longtime partner of mine, and they're continuing to support me and the Petty family. I think we have a running relationship of 30 plus, 40 plus years, something. I mean, we've been together forever. So it's incredible for me to continue that legacy on with them. And then Customers Bank is a new company that came on board this year, and we're excited to have them on for Daytona. And then Tasty Duck is also another huge partner of mine, and then Pristine Auction is joining us for the championship race in Phoenix. So super excited to have a good group of partners going into this new team, new season in 2024 to run full time. So hopefully we can continue to grow.
We're all looking forward to see what you and the new team can do. New kids on the block, but hopefully we'll see you celebrating your first win here soon. Thank you so much for joining the show, and we certainly wish you and all of Faction 46 the best of luck here for 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Samuel.